It was on August 14th that the cameras started turning in Paris on Moonraker, the 11th James Bond movie and the 4th time the role was to be portrayed by the late Roger Moore. The previous entry into the franchise, The Spy Who Loved Me, is considered by many to be one of the very best Bond movies, and a return to form for the franchise after a rocky couple movies with Moore, despite his immediate charm and humour.
What was that for?
For saving my life.
Remind me to do it more often.
So, with the formula finally perfected, Moonraker was sure to be another great time at the cinema. Right? Well, kinda. The film is based on a novel by the 007 creator. The original story was intended by author Ian Fleming to become a film even before he completed the novel in 1954. He based it on a screenplay manuscript he had devised earlier, though that version is quite different from what we eventually got to see on screen. The end credits for the previous Bond film said, "James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only." However, following the box office success of the 1977 space-themed film Star Wars, producer Cubby Broccoli decided to change tracks.
James Bond into space, out and beyond, 007.
So, how did the sudden change of plans and genres affect the quality of the film? Is it one of Bond's best, or simply another disappointing dud? Let's find out. A Drax Industries space shuttle, Moonraker, on loan to the United Kingdom, is hijacked in mid-air while on a shuttle aircraft carrier. The carrier is destroyed, but no wreckage of the shuttle is found. M, the head of MI6, assigns James Bond, Agent 007, to investigate. In the cold open, a staple of the Bond franchise, the secret agent is on his way back to England before the plane is sabotaged, and, without a parachute, he's pushed out by a familiar face.
The fact of the matter is that you have a camera on top of somebody's head.
That was going to become a major stumbling block.
Everything's fine, funnily enough, when you're in free fall. But what really becomes dangerous is when you decide to pull the parachute cord.
I was in Paris, down around the Boulevard Saint-Michel, and there was an old camera store there, a lot of secondhand stuff, and in the corner I saw something that looked like a wide-angle lens.
The following sequence looks stunning and feels exhilarating. It's certainly one of the best openings the franchise has had so far.
And so a great deal of research had gone into designing and building a helmet camera that could carry 100 feet of film and possibly an anamorphic lens.
Cinematographer Randy DeLuca must still create a special technique to soften the shock on his neck when the parachute deploys.
He used to tie a rope around the parachute so it would open very slowly.
Jaws and Bond battle it out in the sky before the metal teeth-clad villain crashes for a carnival straight into the title sequence. Following tradition to a T, milk, 2 sugars, 007, M and Q brief each other and the audience on the basic plot, villain, and a few of our heroes' gadgets we'll see pop up as the film goes on. James is flown in by Corinne Dufour to Drax's home and headquarters, the owner of the stolen Moonraker.
Why didn't he buy the Eiffel Tower as well?
He did, but the French government refused him an export permit.
Ugh, I hate when that happens. Drax's mansion, played by the real-life estate Vaux le Vicomte, was created by the actual criminal Nicolas Fouquet, who built it with money he stole in his role as Lord High Treasurer of France, a crime for which meant he never got to see his beloved home again, having died behind bars. So it's only fitting his newest resident is Hugo Drax, portrayed by French actor Michael Lonsdale. Drax portrays himself as an accomplished pianist, as evidenced by his recital of Chopin's Raindrop Prelude in D-flat major on his grand piano. In fact though, he simply poses at a player piano in an attempt to impress his guests. After a bit of back and forth, Drax gives his assistant, Char, orders, while Bond meets with astronaut Holly Goodhead. American actress Louis Childs, whose parental Texan background is in oil, is more than well fueled to slip into the part of Holly Goodhead.
I have to be honest, I have to say that I actually like that I have one of the more obscene names. I do.
She gives him a demonstration of how G-forces work, which gets a little too strong after some tampering by Char. 007 discovers some secret plans, and the next morning Drax's attempt to silence the secret agent fails due to some particularly good shooting.
missed Mr. Bond. Did I?
Drax terminates his pilot's employment due to her liaisons with the enemy, which begins a deadly game of go fetch. In Venice, James gets involved in a boat chase on a tricked-out gondola, which transforms into a really stupid-looking hovercraft, and discovers one of Drax's labs, where they're creating a poisonous gas which kills all it makes contact with instantly. In his bid to escape the building, him and Shah battle it out in a scene which involved the most broken glass objects in film history at the time, eventually finding their way up into the clock tower as the performers below perform the famed opera song Vesta Leggiuba, sung by the character of Pagliacci, whose visage appeared briefly in the title sequence. But Doctor, I am Pagliacci. Having discovered proof of Drax's evil plans, Bond brings M and the British Minister of Defence to the lab, only to discover it completely gone. M is pressured to drop the investigation, but, due to his trust in Bond, instead puts the agent on a leave of absence so he can pursue the truth.
I think I can recall your mentioning it.
This was actor Bernard Lee's final appearance in the role of M, later being replaced by Robert Brown in Octopussy, after Lee passed away of stomach cancer in 1981.
I remember a lovely story because my wife was there and Jeffrey Keane, and we were all going out to dinner. And we met down in the downstairs in the hotel where we were all staying, and suddenly Bernard saw it, he got a piano there. So he started down playing the piano, and all the people sort of sitting round were fascinated. We said, come on, Bernard, we must go to dinner now. And he said, no, it's all right, I'll come in a minute. And we waited. And we said, look, we've got a table booked, Bernard, we're going. All right, old boy, you go. I'll follow you in a minute. He never came, and when we came back, he was still playing at the piano to this adoring audience all the way around him. Oh, he was a wonderful man. He really was. I love that man.
In Rio de Janeiro, Bond battles it out with Char's replacement, Jaws. Richard Keel, who is as tall sitting down as most people are standing up, used to work as a bouncer in a nightclub, which soon became the best behaved establishment in town. Jaws had previously appeared in the prior movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, and was an immediate fan favourite, and he's one of only 3 true villains who've made multiple appearances in the franchise, the others being Blofeld and Mr. White. A peaceful cable car ride gets dangerous as Jaws stops it in its tracks, sending this stunt double tumbling over the side without a rope.
So when I was falling down over the edge, I hung on to the top of the roof with my hands to act as a brake. I still nevertheless went over the edge.
He fell and was hanging by his hands over this, 1,000-foot drop.
And that was a very nasty moment because there was nothing else you could do but go for it and hope it worked.
They battle atop the cars, but after attempting to chase after the fleeing Bond and Goodhead, Jaws crashes into the station through this 7-Up sign and ends up next to some 7-Up cans and a 7-Up cooler. And it's here that the 7'1" Jaws meets his love interest. Bond and Goodhead are kidnapped by some fake paramedics, and a fight ensues in the back of their ambulance. Oh look, a 7-Up sign! Bond visits MI5's current mobile HQ, where Q shows off a bunch of new gadgets, including a literal laser pistol, before finding his way into another boat chase, this time in the Amazon River. After escaping the enemies and fighting off Carl like he's in the Jungle Book, he's captured by Drax and Jaws, where he witnesses the launching of the varying Moonraker ships. Bond manages to board Moonraker 6 along with CIA agent Holly Goodhead. The shuttles dock with a huge city-like space station hidden from radar by a cloaking device.
I came up with this idea, which is not a new idea by any means, and that was to wind back in the camera.
Shoot elements and then wind back the film in the camera, and then shoot the element, another element, wind back the film in the camera and shoot another element.
So we did a few tests and we realized that it was quite a way of actually achieving a fantastic quality.
Inside the space station set, the biggest set ever built in France at the time, was 108 foot by 47 foot, a 3-tier set. It took 220 men 8 weeks to build and cost more than £250,000, using around 100 tons of metal, 2 tons of nails, and 10,000 feet of wood. James and Holly disable the radar jamming cloaking device thing, allowing Earth's governments to detect the station and react, with the United States military sending a platoon of troops to intercept. Jaws captures Bond and Goodhead. Drax reveals his plan to destroy human life by launching 50 globes that would disperse the nerve gas into Earth's atmosphere. Drax wants to inhabit the Earth with perfect people, despite the fact that he himself doesn't fulfill his own criteria. Everything he has and is a facade. He faked playing the piano because he can't play. He's not physically intimidating, hence why he hires thugs like Jaws and Char to do his dirty work. He constantly underestimates not only Bond, but practically everyone else in his life. Whether that's Holly's loyalty, the government's response to his plans, his pet snake's ability to kill, etc. He's not smart enough, talented enough, strong enough, or likely handsome enough to be a part of his own master race, in what is a pretty obvious, if not well-crafted, parallel to Adolf Hitler. Bond persuades Jaws to switch his allegiance by getting Drax to admit that anyone not measuring up to his physical standards, including him and Dolly, would be exterminated. Jaws attacks Drax's guards, and a motherfucking laser battle ensues between Drax's forces and Bond, Jaws, and the Marines, using the same laser pistols we saw Q testing earlier. Drax's forces are defeated as the station is destroyed, an effect that was created by shooting the model with a shotgun. Bond manages to outsmart Drax during their encounter in the disintegrating station and sends him out into space.
Where's Drax?
Oh, he had to fly.
I was suspended on a little wire, very thin, and up I went, 15 meters. That was impressive. Looking down was a strange feeling. Ooh, tremendous experience.
With the master race defeated, our heroes board a shuttle, while Jaws and Dolly celebrate their victory.
Well, here's to us.
With the ship jammed, Jaws helps them once again as he releases the shuttle, allowing the secret agents to destroy the nerve gas dispensers Drax had already dispatched. Then, at the end, this £250,000 set was blown to smithereens. Our adventure closes as Bond's superiors catch him and Holly going where no one has gone before. Moonraker is a good entry into the Bond franchise, but it's not great. The locales are, of course, stunning, the action exciting, and Roger Moore full of wit. But ultimately, the story feels overfilled, and the more overt sci-fi elements don't blend nicely with the traditional Bond narrative structure. Jaws' return is great to see, and it's actually a shame he never appeared again after Moonraker. Moore's take on the character is very comedic, and you either like that or you don't. Personally, I'm a fan, but he's far from my favourite interpretation of the character. It's a fun time, but it's not going to blow you away. And after the heights The Spy Who Loved Me reached, it's definitely a small step down, but not a giant leap.
My God, what's Bond doing?
I think he's attempting re-entry, sir.
Next time I'm going to be taking a look at the perfectly pleasant animated movie, Puss in Boots. This spin-off of the Shrek franchise from DreamWorks has Antonio Banderas reprising his role as the Zorro-esque Puss, alongside Salma Hayek's Kitty Softpaws. The film is fun for all the family and ultimately is a very easy and entertaining way to spend 90 minutes. You can use the link in the description below to find out where to watch Puss in Boots before I cover it next week. I managed to pick up this Moonraker making of book for about £2.50 on eBay, and I've got to say, it is awesome. A bunch of the behind the scenes info featured in this video are from this book. I hope you have a beautiful day and an even brighter tomorrow.